Do we have communication issues?
Absolutely not.
No.
Nope.
Hmm.
But I'm asking the questions today.
Oh, you're giving me a break.
Let's go. Let's put Jay on the spot. Now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
What do you got?
let's go. So, first, I want to know what is your best investment that
You,
you ever have made?
you, easily.
Hmm.
You push me to be better. You push me to want to grow constantly. You push me to want to overcome things that I would probably not really notice or try to face.
Oh,
Yeah, you, of
thanks, babe.
course.
Okay. Actually, what I wanted to say, let's see. I had a list.
Okay.
What does support actually look like in our relationship to support you in recovery?
I mean, at this point, I think that I'm recovered. Um, as far as like I'll never drink or use again. You know, I think a lot of people in my program, they don't acknowledge that they've actually done a lot of that inner work and that they can say like, I'm done. But there still is addict tendencies, and there's a level of patience when you're with an addict that you have. And it's important to understand that the drinking and drugging was never the problem. It was never the problem. It was always the solution. And there's still things that I have to work through from time to time that for you, the patience that you can show me, the love that you can give me when I do get jammed up from time to time. And I don't think it's ever anything devastating, but I know that I'm a lot, and and
It
that's
might
that's
be an
something
understatement.
might be an understatement, and I'm okay with it. But I think that that's the biggest thing is like patience for somebody who's like me, to have.
So you feel you're recovered, so you don't feel once an addict, always an addict?
So when it comes to the actual substance and the use of the substance, I do believe that I'm recovered. Do I still acknowledge that I'm an addict? Of course, right? Because that's the thing. But when it comes to in my recovery, what a lot of people think about is like, how do I support you so you'll never drink again? That's not really a topic of discussion in our relationship. I won't drink again. I created a life that I don't need that. It's not important to me. It's
Hmm.
actually really beneath me at this point.
So I think we should clarify also our roles. So you are a recovered addict.
Mhm.
I'm a normie. Do you want to explain what that means?
So a normie is somebody who doesn't have a problem who can drink normally. But there's a caveat to our relationship. You're a normie who doesn't drink,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
And so,
Who chose not to drink even before we met. So it's not like something that I felt I needed to do for you. It was something that our lifestyles already aligned before we met, which is why I think it works so well right now and how I feel my lifestyle supports you and gives you a peaceful environment.
yeah, yeah, I wanted drinking to be out of the equation
Right.
entirely, but I also know that two addicts, even if they're in recovery, is a very challenging thing. And we have friends who are married that have very successful marriages that are both addicts,
Mm-hmm.
and I absolutely love that for them. But for me, I wanted to have somebody in my life that was the normie, but that just didn't drink. I've been with a normie who did drink, and it wasn't good. Alcohol creates chaos. So I wanted to have a situation where there wasn't the chaos, which is the common denominator, right? Is alcohol. So it's perfect because we don't have we you have your own issues and things. I have my own issues and things. But when it's two addicts, those issues are so similar that it can sometimes be explosive. And it's not for everybody, but I know for me, when it becomes too push and pull, it can get a little bit and there's a lot of things that addicts have in common, in terms of like some of their character defects and some of like the things that they do, like avoiding, retreating, isolating, things like
Mm-hmm.
that. Where like you have two people that have those same things, it just doesn't work out. So we both have our own things. There's other things that we do that complement each other and help us get through them.
So what do you think is our greatest strength when it comes to relationships and dating someone who's in recovery?
Well, when we first started this podcast, I said, "Do we have communication issues?" And you said no.
Mm-hmm.
You said that very confidently.
Mm-hmm.
And why did I know you're asking the questions, baby, but
Because nothing is off the table. Like, we really do talk about everything. And I feel we both created a safe environment for us to be very vulnerable and transparent. So, on the other side of like dating somebody in recovery would be one of your superpowers is that you are very intentional and you are very growth minded. You have a desire to want to change and grow. So that's what attracted me the most to you is that you take accountability for your actions. You're very stable, you're consistent. Routine is important to you. Like those qualities is something that I really love about you. So I feel that is what keeps you sober, right? And being someone in recovery, that is your superpower. I feel like some addicts are have those qualities. Do you see that often? I mean, I see that, with it's not so a lot of people know your story, but they don't know mine. I was married to an addict for 7 years. So there are some similarities where you have a lot of depth to you, and I mean, that could be a pro and a con, but in your case, it's definitely a pro.
so I think it's important to realize that those strengths don't just come from sobriety in terms of the absence of the substance.
Mm-hmm.
Those strengths come from working a program in sobriety.
Correct.
Those come from working through resentments, fears, working with a sponsor on all 12 steps. Those strengths come from actually achieving a spiritual awakening. When you face all of those things, when you are delivered your character defects, when you consistently take inventory of everything that you've messed up, you develop a self-awareness that's unavoidable,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so for people listening to this, when it's like when if a woman hears this and she's like, "Oh, well, I'm going to go find an addict and that's in recovery and it's going to
No.
work out great," not necessarily.
Right.
For me, it was a lot of work. It was a lot of, and I'm still not completely perfect, but in the areas that you're talking about, consistent, steady, routine, protective, like
Mm-hmm.
all of the things that I think a man should have. And I'm not saying that I have all of the qualities locked down, but there are some that I'm confident in. And that the self awareness piece of it came from becoming self aware in terms of consistency, in terms of discipline, in terms of being called on my shit over and over again. And that stuff has to happen for you to achieve the strengths to be able to attract a woman like you.
Yeah. No, you definitely can tell you've done a lot of inner work. I mean, that was evident from the beginning. But so what would you say, how would you answer the question if somebody was like, what is a misconception of dating somebody that is in recovery? What do you feel that maybe people misunderstand you or have a stereotype? Um, how would you address that?
Hmm. So, well, it's funny because you said,
I
the
would
once,
never have dated, I
yeah,
would have never have dated a man that was struggled with addiction or in recovery or anything along those lines ever again.
let
I was
alone
so
married one.
traumatized. Exactly. And here I am. So I've had a lot of misconceptions, but what do you feel that maybe some people have on why they wouldn't want to date somebody in recovery?
Well, I think the first thing that people need to understand is that not all addicts and not all rock bottoms look the same. Um, there are so for the most part, and not maybe not for the most part, but widely speaking, addicts are the funniest, the smartest, the most loyal, the most trustworthy, the
Oh, let's
the
not say that.
that have the
Let's not
capacity.
say most trustworthy.
Well, they have the capacity of being the most successful, the most charismatic. I mean, it's uncanny how many people are of huge positions of power now
Mhm.
that struggled and did things. But so I think a lot of people refuse to see the potential that's inside of an addict, right? They think like, oh, this guy was just a homeless schlep that lived under a bridge and shot heroin and did meth. Like, no,
Mhm.
that's not everybody's story. um, not every addict went through and just destroyed relationships with every single person.
Mhm.
Most of us have a lot of amends that we have to
Mhm.
make, but a lot of us have really good hearts. So I think, a misconception is that like all addicts are um, bums, or all addicts are super selfish and things like that. I don't believe that's the case. I believe that there are a lot of addicts that are very great people, and
Mhm.
when they do achieve, again, I'm going to really weigh heavy in on that spiritual awakening, because you guys, and I'm just going to kind of gas you up a little bit, maybe whatever, glaze you. uh, to achieve a woman like you have to do work. Even if you're not an addict, you have to be like, and if you guys don't know Christina, but she is somebody who is, you know, I mean, I've
Stop it.
never ever thought that I would ever be able to achieve that, but the amount of work that I did on myself was able to attract somebody like
Yeah, no, I
you.
definitely have the best version of you. I would not have even looked your way if it was 2 years ago, for
Mhm.
sure. But
And I didn't get sober 2 years ago. 2 years ago is when I made a huge investment in my own personal development,
mhm,
a large monetary investment, a lot of time, consistency, and all of it.
yeah,
And by the way, I had been sober for a long time before that last investment, that last turn that I made in myself. I'd been sober for years, but the last 2 years is when I achieved the most elite version of me thus far.
yeah. No, that's a beautiful answer. So you changed my perspective. I know we spoke about this before when I first started coming around like your friends and you introducing, me to like other um, individuals in recovery. And I don't know if you remember this conversation. I was like, wow, like I love everybody in your circle. Like everyone's so beautiful and just have such good hearts and they're just really good people. And just very loving people. There's a humility about their souls and they're just humble, even though they were like, these really like successful men, but yet they were so humble and so accepting and loving and generous. And I guess you changed my perspective of what an addict was,
Hmm.
and from my experience, I always thought, they were, somebody who was manipulative, very manipulative, lies, just always lied out to hurt you. I had this perception that, they're just going to cause problems and chaos everywhere they went, just a different perspective on an addict, which is why I didn't want to deal with one or date one or have them around my kids or, anything. So when we started dating, I was like, wow, like you're the most generous, loving, like authentic person I've ever met. Like you're just like amazing. You're an amazing man. Yeah, so you gave me that gift that I can just open my eyes to a different um perspective, I guess.
So addicts in general, we are very manipulative and very good at getting our way, right? Like that's something that most addicts have in common.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to always go back to spiritual awakening. I'm going to always go back to doing the work and things like that. Most importantly, your vibe attracts your tribe, right? So it shouldn't be a surprise
Mm-hmm.
that the addicts and the men in recovery that are in my circle that you met that gave you that impression are a mirror of what I
Mm-hmm.
put out. But again, had I not done the work, I probably still would have been a more manipulative, degenerate, right? And so the men that I surround myself with, who, by the way, know everything about me
Mm-hmm.
and know everything about us, because we talk, we're open, we're transparent. We know that we need each other, right? And so that's a big point to make, is that like, one, you're, of course those men are gonna, you're gonna see those men, and of course you're going to feel that way because those are the men that I surround myself with, right? Like if I have friends that are in recovery that are not like, let's just say their name's JD, Jeremy, they're not going to be introduced to you. They're not going to be brought that close to me. They're not in my actual circle. It's the men that mirror the values that I have, the integrity that I have. So that's a big thing to point out, is that it's not all, but
No.
my circle
Mm-hmm.
is, and that's the only way that it will be.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so another question. What do you feel is our healthy boundaries in our relationship, especially in dealing with sobriety? And what would be the difference if you want to give an example of what a boundary and a non-negotiable would be that we've
So a
had set
boundary
for each other?
so a boundary and a standard boundary. Okay. Um, I think a boundary would be like, we don't call names when we get upset with each other. We don't call each other names.
Hmm.
A non-negotiable would be that, like, you get really dolled up in dresses and heels, and I wear wife beaters and boots. No, no. So like a standard. So yeah, the boundary would be that we don't name call when we're fighting. Um,
So a boundary, in my definition, would be a boundary would be something that protects your mental status, like
mhm.
your mental health. So I already know what your boundaries are, but do you want to
What
explain
are
what your boundaries are?
yeah, so I think like throwing the past in my face, like, um and I'm really not fond of, like, I really don't like name calling. Like, that's a big thing. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? And when you are in a lifelong commitment with an Italian from New York, sometimes, like, they're fiery, right? And so, when we do argue, and of course we're a couple, we do argue, we're not perfect. That's one thing where I'm like, look, I'm not, like, we can do whatever, but, like, I'm not
Hmm.
into the name calling thing. That's just not what I do. You can call me weak. It's not a thin skin thing. I just think we're above that as people.
So what's my boundary?
Um, any sort of, like, retreating or avoiding
Mm-hmm.
is a big boundary of yours, and it's something that I've had to work on,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Um, and the truth is, we really, I don't know that we've really crossed boundaries in many other ways with each other, but I think we're aware of what we need to
Mm-hmm.
do. And again, we started this whole entire conversation off with, do we have communication issues? And you confidently said no.
Mm-hmm.
You said no. I would agree. No, because we have set these boundaries and standards, by the way, very, very clearly.
Mm-hmm.
And even if the boundary does get crossed, we're about 24 hours from being perfectly fine.
So a non-negotiable is more of a standard.
Hmm.
So you have a standard, your routine,
My morning,
your morning routine is your standard.
it is non-negotiable.
Mm-hmm.
And you give that to me.
And what would be my standard? Or
Qual
my non-negotiable?
quality time.
Mm-hmm. The quality time.
Um, I think that,
I have
yeah,
another major
yeah,
one.
yeah, that you want to be with or that you have to be with a Christian.
Mm-hmm. Yep, faith.
That
I
part's
share
easy.
faith.
Um, yeah, I think the quality time, the prayer time,
Mm-hmm.
the phones away time, those are non-negotiables,
Yep.
which I'd never had before.
Yeah. My love language is definitely quality time. But yours too.
Yep.
What would you think your top two love languages?
Physical touch,
Uh-huh.
words of affirmation.
I knew that. Those
We have a
two.
thing,
Yep.
ABT, always be touching.
ABT, always be
You
touching.
like
That's
physical touch too.
yes.
Um,
It'd probably be my number one, and then quality time.
but even we can talk about more surface level standards, right? Like, you expect me to take care of you. You do.
True, that's a standard.
Like, my standard of yours is that the man provides. But guess what? The standard of mine is that you don't work unless you want to.
So I always had this analogy, like growing up, how it was explained to me, like the man builds the home and the woman makes it a home. Oh wait, no. The man builds the house, the woman makes it a home. And that's always stuck with me. Like I create the loving, nurturing, peaceful environment, and the man is the one that creates the house and shelter and provides,
Easy. I
you know.
love it. Yeah, and I think that it's so funny because to a lot of people listening to this, that's like a refreshing thing. You have no idea. So I posted. Well, you do have an idea, but I posted that reel about when you had posted that thing about when your man sends you to Pilates
Hmm.
in the spa and not to work so you can split the bills. And there have been multiple DMs, both from men and women, that were like, God, that's refreshing to hear.
Well, also the reason I said that was because that was my mom's 5th year death anniversary.
Mm,
And you were just like, here, babe, take my card. Like, and I just went to the spa, got a facial, went to Pilates, and just had like a really nice, relaxing day. And you provided that for me. And I was just so grateful. But let's not take away that, I have 2 master degrees, like I
no,
have a
right.
career.
Yeah.
Like it's not that I'm just sitting pretty, not doing
No.
anything. Like I offer you just as much, but I do like you to take the lead role in the finances.
No, 100%. No, and no, and that's why I said that I don't believe that you should work unless you want to.
Mhm.
But also, we also own a business together, and
Mhm.
and you own your own business, and I own my own businesses, and we're constantly like, that's a big deal. Is like we have an independence about us, but we have a very traditional, um, ideal situation in my eyes.
Mhm. And when you met me, I owned my own home. I was the head of my household, supporting 2 kids on my own, sole custody.
Hmm.
Dad wasn't involved, wasn't really, he's starting to come now because, he's in sober living and he's getting, more time out of that where he can visit. But, totally just in my masculine, very in survival mode. And you're just like, no, I want you to just have that peace and security and stability for me and the kids. And I just like melted. I was like, yes, like I just I've been waiting just to have like somebody to have me in my feminine role. Like I don't want to be the head of the household. I don't want to have that like responsibility anymore. I want it to be shared with a partner. It should be shared with a partner. Shouldn't all be on one person. So, yeah, you definitely do great in that department.
Hmm.
I don't know what other questions do I have. That's kind of it. Is there anything you want to ask me?
No, I don't. I think that we've touched on a lot. Um, and I think that it's important for anybody that's listening to this that, like, is in a relationship, and maybe you see some of the qualities here, and you want to have them. Like, remember that the work always starts with you. The work always starts with you. You have to become what you want to attract. And if you're already in a relationship
Mm-hmm.
and you're not, you don't have the intimacy, you don't have the boundaries, you don't have the standards, you don't have your love languages met. um, First look inward. You have to first look inward.
I agree. I think also if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything,
Mm,
and I always believe that 100%. Like these are my non-negotiables. This is what I'm looking for. Obviously I need to be that person, right? Like if I wanted somebody who showed me integrity, I was traumatized, in relationships where the cheating was involved. So I really wanted to be with somebody I can trust, a man of integrity. What does that look like? That means Christina needs to be a woman of integrity,
mhm.
and there's certain things that I need to follow. So once I got that through my head that the character traits that I was looking for, I needed to become, that's when you popped up.
But let's expand on that, because you also are with somebody who's a social media
Oh, yes.
personality.
Yes. And
And
that was another thing that I said I would never do. And it has not been an issue at all.
of course not, because here's boundaries that I set. Let's talk about
Yeah.
boundaries. So my entire team is instructed that any thirsty women that come in, it's not even a conversation, it's a delete block.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And by the way, I don't really manage my whole entire social media platform, so I don't even know if it happens or not. But that's a big thing. I am best friends with the block button. Not for shit talkers. If you guys are watching your shit talker, I love you.
I don't.
Yeah, but like time wasters, thirsty women, pick your brain people, stuff like that. It's energy and time is so finite that it's like just block you. I don't care about you. Shit talkers are good. Keep coming. But that's a big boundary, right?
For both of us.
Yeah, we put out a reel that is pretty viral right now about like, could you trade phones with your partner
Mm-hmm.
for the day? Absolutely. You can have it if you want it. It's
Mm-hmm.
chaos in there, but it's I mean we get thousands of DMs a day. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like we don't really I've you've shown me your DMs and it's just a whole bunch of dudes talking to themselves for like
Well, I didn't
days.
actually show you. My phone was open and you just took a peek, which is good because I feel like that meant more instead of me like altering it and
Oh
showing
yeah,
you.
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah. It
you
was
like
yeah. I
just
looked like what's
whatever, you
going on.
looked and you were like, these people just talk to themselves. And I'm
It's
like,
literally I
yeah,
smiled to
because if
myself
I
because I
want
was like,
you to
that's my
do
woman.
that and you give me that same respect, I feel I need to show you that first,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, we're definitely on the same page. It's never been an issue at all. Yeah, I don't,
Hmm.
I agree. We have similar boundaries, similar lifestyle. It's all been in alignment.
And wide
But
open
yeah,
communication.
and communication, yeah.
If you're feeling something, you just say it. If I'm feeling something, I just say we do not hold back. There's no bottling up. There's no, even like, with like space and stuff, we're both the kind of people that are like, okay, let's just fix this. Of course, there's times you need space. Of course, there's times that I need to, like, literally, me. I'm like, I'm just gonna go to the gym and train, and then we'll come back and we'll handle this.
Hmm.
But we don't let things drag out.
Hmm.
We've never had a fight last longer than a day.
Yeah, don't go to bed angry.
Yeah, baby, I love you.
I love you too.
Guys, if you like what you saw, make sure you click subscribe. Make sure you go follow us on Instagram at Legacy Labs AZ, and we'll put all the information down below. We really appreciate you taking the time to watch this today, and we'll catch you next time on Legacy Aligned, the podcast.
And God bless.
God bless.